Good morning. This is Wilkey with Major League Trading. It is Tuesday, October 1st, 2019, the first day of the fourth quarter. So if you could give me a sound check and let me know you hear me all right, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. All right, so looking back at yesterday's, it was neutral, but really it was an engulfing bullish candle almost. So neutral as far as price was in the same place it was the previous trading day, but a little bit bullish technically. We'll see if the bulls can do anything with it. They had their chance Friday and really blew it. Maybe they get a little bit of a recharge from that drop Friday. Maybe they can squeeze some new traders out, but we'll see. Overnight, everything is bullish except for the Russell, which is neutral. 5 to 10 day period, pretty much everything is bearish. 15 to 20 day, mixed bag. Neutral for the ES and Nasdaq, bullish for the Russell and the Dow. And then for the 20 to 60 day, everything is neutral. But if you look out at the year to date, I'll just scroll down to the very bottom of the chart. We are very bullish, right? Here's our 2019 year to date. We're bullish for the year, but if you look at it, we've been pretty much going sideways since the beginning of the end of April. We come up here. The Nasdaq made a little bit of an incremental higher high and then back down. So this is a very, very weak looking head and shoulders, but I wouldn't put too much weight into that type of a technical pattern on this look here. But you can also look at the 60-day where you've got the reverse head and shoulders, and I bet that's what a lot of people are playing for. This is 60 trading days, not 60 calendar days. So you get to break up and over, and you could really rally basically another 6 to 7% up, and that's what blind technicians would be looking for. So if we look at what's going on for the news today, remember we do have ADP tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. and then we have some Fed web streams Thursday after the bell when the futures first reopen, and then Friday's non-farm payroll. But looking at today, we have a speech right at 8:50 this morning from Chair Richard Clardaria, and then opening remarks. So it's just nothing there. And then at 9:30 a.m. we have a speech from Michelle Bowman. She's going to have a keynote speech on the research into community, because maybe that's something we should look into. No, I don't really have any idea. So as we're looking at the only real news today is at 10 a.m. we have ISM. So be aware of that. Maybe that'll give us some opportunities going into from like 10 o'clock to noon. Maybe be able to fade the pattern instead of go with. Looking at yesterday's action, again, from our fall on Friday, just coming back up and looking back up. We took out the value area, ended up above value area high, which is, bullish on that side. The Russell, you can see, really didn't make any headway in value, but the triplets over here all ended up above value area high, so which is a little bit of a squeeze pattern. And you can see for the initial bounce study, the triplets look stronger than the Russell as well. Looking at the bell-to-bell fibs and the internals, you can see that we ended up with a target right around 29.90. Actually, it was probably right around 88 that we had, but no selling pressure at all in the morning, just buying pressure in the middle of the day. Really wasn't getting higher, right? And then a little bit of buying pressure into the close. If we look at the sequencing, we can see that the bulls never lost their draw all day long yesterday. The bulls, were trying to get something going as well, and then you had that squeeze into the close. Look at the NASDAQ, very similar picture, a little bit stronger, right? It really didn't even lose its 38.2 after holding the 61.8 in the morning. Again, looking at the ES, we come back down and we tag these 29.48 halves. Basically, got a little bit below it on Friday and then back up into range. So really, we're staying in this distribution up in this area. So between basically 2967.75 and 3017. And if you look at that distribution below, it's really from basically 2950 down to these lows from the middle of the month. Looking at the Dow, plus 96 points close to close, plus basically 50 points open to close. But if you look at where the stocks close, lots of stocks closing on their lows, only 3 stocks closing on their highs. Apple, well, 4 really, Intel, Microsoft, and Nike. The rest just closed kind of mid-range. Looking at the profile for the day that we'll be using, we can see that the point of control for the ES is going to be fairly important, but we do have a double distribution or a split right at 29.77. So we'll keep in mind just below the point of control at 29.77, we have another distribution, and that distribution for the NASDAQ is going to be right at 77.46, 45, right in that area. So you can just remember between 77.45 and 77.50 is where that distribution separates from yesterday. You got the point of control just under that. So then you have a secondary point of control, which is where the pullback could come to if we get a pullback today, which would be right around 77.70. Looking at the overnight action today, 12.25 points, not much to write home about, but you can see the overnight low is right on top of value area high for the ES, and we'll see if we end up filling that gap, getting down in there, or if we just can hold above here. So not a lot, and if you look at the overnight volume, just 165,000 contracts, so not too much going on there. So there's a high likelihood of the gap fill today. And if we look at all the indexes here, we can see that the Russell once again is neutral, and the triplets are all, like I said, they're overnight lows, just below value area low, right above value area. I'm sorry, just above value. Let me reset. Sorry. The overnight low is just barely inside of value, so it's just barely below value area high. So barely dipping into yesterday's value for the Dow. And we already discussed just above value area high for the ES, and not even to value area high for the NASDAQ, just barely below yesterday's low. But a very tight range, low volume, so I would expect at least a gap fill this morning. So let's see if we have any overnight trends here. Again, these lines are on my charts because I haven't shut down my computer overnight. So they're just sitting here from yesterday's bell-to-bell session. So nothing going on for the bulls in the overnight session, right? And the bears possibly have something going on. So we'll have to watch, a high, lower high, lower high. So really, let's watch for the ES. See what trades first. Do we trade 29.80 or do we break above 29.90? I think that's going to be key in the morning here. Let's check out the NASDAQ real quick. Let's just look at the NASDAQ on the NASDAQ chart. This is a mess. Okay, looking at the NASDAQ here, Again, that same picture coming down. So for the NASDAQ, it's what trades first, over 78.11 or down to 77.75.50. So again, we've got those two things to look at here. Let's look at the longer term charts here. So we got the ES would come down to this 29.48.5. We talked about that, come back up. So we've went up 1, 2, 3, 4 levels, right? And we really haven't pulled back. So we went up 2, pulled back 1. Went up 2, pulled back 1. Went up 2, pulled back 1. So it's been pretty aggressive. We're right on these 29.93 quarters that we were at Thursday, Friday, and now this morning. So the 29.93 quarter should be a nice spot, and maybe that'll get us up to that 3,175. And we'll see how that goes after that. So below, remember there's a lot of room down later this week if we do have something going on. There is a lot of room below this 29.67.75. So the NASDAQ is right around this support resistance zone, making up in its mind which way it wants to break. So it's at that 77.88 to 77.98 area that we've been watching for a while. And, you know, it did get up to these 78.29s and then fell back. So it's the same pattern as the ES, right? From this support here, up 2 levels, back below 1, up 2 levels, back, and now it's waffled back around. See, it had resistance right under 77.88. It crossed over it, and now that's support. So we'll see if we're bullish, we should be able to get up towards 78.71. And again, it's that condition of what's going to trade first. And we'll review that one more time before we get out of here for the day. Let's look at crude. So crude is just really down here in this node. Remember, we had the spike high from the drone strike in Saudi Arabia. We come back down. We couldn't get through this. Now this is resistance. We've just come down. We've melted down. I wouldn't look for really too much, lower or higher. Really, I think we're range bound right now, at least until the oil inventory report tomorrow. Remember, if you do play crude, you have API at 4:30 tonight. Most people aren't aware of that, but 53.45 and 55.15, which is a decent little range, and you can see there's some right around 54, right? So, all right, let's try one more time. All right, so gold was a little bit of a disappointment. Sorry about that. Gotta love modern technology. So 1481.30 to 1486.70. That was a band that should have held. Initially, we come down to that area. We bounced, but just right down to the John trend line. We went through it. Now notice the lower end of this band is resistance now. So until you can get back up above, it is an aggressive overhead supply situation. And it has already had quite the move down. So it doesn't have to do anything yet today.